Well, David, we continue to watch Tropical Storm Chris, likely Hurricane Chris, within the next 12 to 24 hours. Spin about 215 miles southeast of Hatteras. Around here, though, lots of clear skies, and that's been the case all day today. Just a couple of showers have impacted the Outer Banks of North Carolina, but here's Chris still spinning around, not really moving very much. It's been nearly stationary for the past day or so, and you can see some of those showers that did affect the Outer Banks of North Carolina and a few of the clouds. But around here with high pressure in control to our north, lots of sunshine, still breezy, especially along the coastline, and those northeast winds will continue tonight. Notice mainly clear skies through the rest of the evening with a few clouds down along the Outer Banks. Overnight lows, inland spots down into the 50s. We'll look at the 60s once you get closer to the coastline, but a little bit of a shift in the wind direction tomorrow means temperatures will be just a little bit warmer as well. Through the afternoon, temperatures in the mid-80s along the coastline, upper 80s to near 90 degrees inland. As we go through the evening, mainly clear skies once again, just a few clouds along the Outer Banks, maybe an isolated shower. But notice those winds switching around a bit on Wednesday. Temperatures will climb even more into the upper 80s as a cold front approaches from the west. That'll give us a chance of a few afternoon, maybe evening showers or thunderstorms. That'll also help to finally push Chris out to sea as it rapidly moves off towards the north and east. The 5 o'clock advisory, 70-mile-per-hour winds. The storm is stationary. 215 miles south-southeast of Hatteras. Will sit there for another day before finally being picked up and carried off towards the north and east. But again, later tonight, tomorrow, likely developing into a hurricane. So what that means for us, clear skies for most locations, some Outer Banks showers and clouds, but the rough surf and the rip current risk continues once again tomorrow and likely into Wednesday as well. And the cold front will finally push Chris out to sea on Wednesday. And that's not the only thing we're watching in the tropics. We had Beryl, which crossed over the Lesser Antilles and really weakened, and the remnant low is down here near Puerto Rico. But there are some indications that if it can survive crossing over the island of Hispaniola and move into some of these warmer waters off the Bahamas, that it could try to regenerate in about 4 or 5 days. Still keeping it offshore. We're putting about a 50% chance of development in the next 5 days. So again, something else we'll have to watch later this week and into the weekend. Lots of blue skies out along the Virginia Beach ocean front. 77 degrees east northeasterly winds at 8 miles per hour. It's 84 in Williamsburg, 78 Chesapeake, 78 in Elizabeth City, 75 Manio, 78 up at Wallops Island. So mainly clear and cool tonight, 66 degrees, 87 tomorrow. That chance of an Outer Banks shower, otherwise sunny and warmer. And then on Wednesday, those afternoon showers and storms possible, about a 30% chance, 88 degrees. 84 and partly sunny Thursday, 85 Friday, 87 Saturday, 88 Sunday, and 89 on Monday. So temperatures do climb into the weekend.